Hello. Uh, Probably only going to do this once, probably. Those of you that don't know me, my name is George. Um, I'm new, if you will, to the whole Release the Snyder Cut movement. I am a part of it, but that being said, um, just a little intro about me. I'm 32. I'm not good at this stuff, so bear with me. I'll try to keep it real simple and real brief. Um, Try to see how I can make this go by much quicker. Um, Try to keep my train of thought as clear as possible. I basically I like. Oh man, I can't do this properly at all. I don't even know why I did this in the first place. I'm not good at this shit. Just to keep it as simple as possible. I was always a DC fan. I was I've always been a DC fan, grown up watching the animated series and watching all the Batman films before it. I'm a huge Batman fan, by the way, so I have tattoos and the comics and art and all kinds of stuff like that, like any fan of anything would probably do. But that being said, the reason why I'm making this video, and just to get to the meat of it, um, I am, as I said, a Release the Snyder Cut fan, and I didn't know I didn't know exactly what that meant until like literally a few weeks ago. But that being said, I've noticed a few things nowadays, literally, and how there's just so much, I guess, infighting within the fandom or movement, I should say. I don't know what people want to refer to it as, but um, that being said, I didn't know how big the movement really was to even have fighting like that. And my personal perspective, I will admit this, I'm not a day one person when it comes to the movement. I'm very much so a bandwagoner. I've always known about the Snyder Cut, but I didn't know everything that went into it. I didn't know the full extent of the story. And I basically took it upon myself to go looking for any and all information I could on it. And I didn't do that until recently this year, back in maybe January, towards the very end of January, before everything went down the way that it did, with the virus, I should say. And I don't want to talk about that just because I'm pretty sure everyone's fed up with that. Um, but nonetheless, that's around the time when I started really researching the Snyder Cut. And I found out so much stuff about it, and it kind of just blew my mind. But when I went about researching everything, the first thing I did was obviously I went to YouTube. And YouTube, there's so much content on there. You just type in Snyder Cut, there's all kinds of stuff. There's people, bad mouthing Zack, and people bad mouthing his films. And then there's everyone that's the narrative at Warner Brothers and how what's going on with Snyder Cut and how that happened. And then there's what everyone else is saying with pro Zack Snyder Cut, how they feel about everything and how what's their perspective. But when I did all of this stuff, I didn't know any of this. I had to research it, so it kind of all hit me at one time. It was kind of like my own binge, if you will, just watching videos. And because I didn't know the full length of it, I kind of was open minded to it. So I watched everybody. I watched the people who were on Collider. I watched Campia. I watched Roca. I watched Andy Signor. I watched all of those people, and they all had that pretty much the same narrative. Warner Brothers doesn't want the Snyder Cut to come out. So I just kind of just like, well, okay, well, that's kind of like how it was. That's what I thought. And the reason why I looked into it, why I looked into the Snyder Cut into the first place, was the fact that I had literally just rewatched Batman versus Superman, the Ultimate Edition. I own the Ultimate Edition. It was on. I think for whatever reason it was on TV, and I was like, well, I don't want to watch this because one, there's commercials, and two, it's probably the theatrical cut, not the extended version. And so I just immediately put on the version that I own, and I watched the extended edition. And I just, after watching it, I just couldn't believe, Zack had something. It might not have been for every person, but at least they tried. The people who made the film, the people who, had anything to do with the film, they were onto something. And I, for one, I actually personally liked it. I know clearly it's not for everybody, but there were plenty of fans out there that actually did love what Zack was trying to do. And me, being one of them. So I felt, well, I remember at one point about the Snyder Cut. So I looked into it, and it was basically me opening my eyes to what the real story was about Zack and Justice League and the Snyder Cut. And the way that I went about it was, after Justice League came out, or Justice League as some might refer to it, when Justice League came out, it honestly felt like a punch to the gut, just because that wasn't exactly the film that we were, maybe not necessarily promised, but everything that we had been hinted at Man of Steel and BVS, and then with Zack obviously on Vero now, it's clearly it wasn't the film we were meant to see. And it felt like a punch to the stomach to me, because up until basically that point, before Justice League came out, I was I'm a huge DC guy, and if this was going to be our DC universe, in a sense, I was sold on it, just because I'm a DC guy. I want to watch it. I'm not going to boycott anything Warner Brothers does. I'm not that kind of guy. These are DC characters. I love them. I want to see them at all. If any TV, film, comics, whatever, I want to watch them. I want to read about them. So I'm not going to start boycotting Warner Brothers or anything like that. It's just I want to watch them. I'm subscribed to HBO Max. I'm subscribed to the DC Universe app. I want to see these characters. I know. So to find out that, clearly when Justice League came out, it wasn't the film we were supposed to see. I took it as, well, we're never going to get that universe anymore. So I thought it was like all hope had been gone, all hope was lost. So I remember seeing Release the Snyder Cut when Justice League had come out, but in my head I was so down. I thought we're never gonna get to see what Zack wanted to, and especially at that time with everything that did happen to Zack, unfortunately, that's where my mindset was, and I kind of just left well enough alone to not really bother with it. So that's kind of like how I left it. So now here we are now, today, and I have all this new information from different narratives now, and it was up to me basically to come to my own conclusion. And I can't say that a cut doesn't exist, but there is so much information to say that it does exist. So that being said, the release of Snyder Cut, the movement, I wanted to be a part of it, and the more I researched it, the more I just got intrigued, and the more I became, infatuated with the fact that this might happen. The Snyder Cut might come out. How I want to see it. How can you not want to see it? Even if you aren't a fan of it and you want to badmouth it or bash it, whatever you want to do with the film, how are you not intrigued at least a little bit to actually want to see what Zack had in mind? So that being said, I think genuinely just those are my feelings for it. It's just I don't get how a studio can do that to somebody when clearly, you know, clearly he had a vision. Clearly he wanted to make this. Clearly, well, I mean, in a sense, he kind of did make it, but we never saw it. How can a studio do that to it? I've seen plenty of times where studios have literally halted production, or moved release date back more. I don't get how they couldn't do that for Zack, or how they wouldn't at least want to do that for Zack, especially with the property being DC and Justice League with all of these characters. And it was really sad. It was just kind of unbelievable to think that they would do that to Zack like that. So it's kind of mind boggling to think that we're here now dealing with the Snyder Cut and all the people who want to bash it, and then all the people who want to praise it. So I'm not here to take sides, other than I would like to see it. Yeah, I want to see it. I'm not gonna badmouth anybody if they have a different opinion on it. If they don't want to see it, that's totally fine. You can not like the Snyder Cut or BVS or anything that Zach had put prior to where we are now, but that's your opinion and you have every right to feel that way. So I just, if I ever come across you on Twitter or on YouTube, I'm not gonna badmouth you or come at you in any vulgar kind of manner. Just that's not me. I don't have time for that. Like I said, this is the only time I'm ever gonna do something like this. So I won't engage you like that just because I don't want to. I don't have the time for that. I just don't care. Period. I just don't. So, I mean, if you see me on Twitter, more than likely I'm going to be polite. I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to be, listening to what you have to say clearly, but I'm not going to treat you with any, disrespect. Um, just, I'm not that type of person. So, that being said, I don't think anybody's watching this, so I can probably end this as soon as I can. But nonetheless, whoever should see this, Zach, I hope, I don't know, whatever. But hopefully we get, someone higher than myself will come to their senses and, make an announcement and they'll release the Snyder Cut in some fashion or form. I don't know. Maybe we'll get an announcement when HBO Max gets launched. I don't know. Not likely, but who knows? But that being said, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. I don't think anyone's on right now. Probably not, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, still at 0. Cool. So if it's just me talking to myself, it'll be me talking to myself. Yeah. Yeah, nobody's on right now. Keep it simple. I'll maybe go to 20 minutes and then I'll just stop it. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to stop the stupid broadcast. I don't know how to do this thing. Okay. Let's see. I gotta figure this stupid thing out. How do I do that? Crap. I'm not good at this shit at all. Okay, but anyways, just to give a little bit more insight. Personally, my feelings towards Man of Steel and BVS, I liked them. Man of Steel is probably my version of what I think Superman probably would be like if he lived in, if the real world, if we had a Superman, that's probably how, we would probably react to it. Or, that's kind of our interpretation in our reality now, especially that would be Superman. He would be subject to that, unfortunate unfortunate circumstances that he was put in that Zach put him in Man of Steel. That's basically what would happen probably. I personally loved it. The visuals, the references, I mean, Zach knows how to put comic book strip to life on screen. It's amazing the way he's just able to do that, and he does it flawlessly. Um, I loved BVS. My first initial, I literally saw BVS probably about 4 times in theaters, the theatrical cut, and I liked it enough to know that every time I saw it, I noticed something different about it. But at the same time, it was more of me nitpicking it because you could tell that it was missing parts to it. So when I literally came out of it the first time, I literally scratched my head. I was like, well, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And I was like, maybe I need to see it again. So clearly I watched it a bunch of times. But when the Ultimate Edition came out, or the extended cut, when it came out, it was 30 minutes longer, so it's a 3-hour film now. But in those 30 minutes, they were able to put at least a little bit more context, especially for Henry and Superman's character. It made it flow a little bit better. It's not a flawless pick movie, but it ended up becoming this movie that I didn't think I was gonna love as much as I did. And I love BVS. It's literally probably one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite superhero movie. Just it was something I had never seen before. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you hate it and you despise it, that's fine. But to some people, me included, I love it. I can't explain it, but I love this film. Maybe it's just, you can contribute it to Zach and his filmmaking, but I loved BVS. I want to go home and watch it today probably. And I don't care what anybody says, but I'm probably gonna watch it when I get home. There's just so many things in that film that are just, and not to mention the fact that, just a little FYI about me, I was actually a part of the filming for BVS, sort of, not really, more of a extra, like many extras in that film. The Metropolis versus Gotham college football scene that took place at ELAC, or East Los Angeles College. My cousin was actually in the band, so he was like required of him to be there. So he had to play for the actual football game that was being played, because they filmed it during halftime of the college game. So that was kind of cool. We got to see Zach and we got to see Deborah, and they were out there, and they were, with the microphones and telling everybody do this and do that. And then they had like hype people and all the other extras that were on film dressed up in the football jerseys, and the football players and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun, and that probably took, honestly, like 20 minutes to film, and then you see it in the theatrical cut and you don't even see it in the theatrical cut. So it felt like, I mean, I'm not even an actor, I'm not even a movie star, I'm not, and I'll never be probably, but just to see when you see the theatrical cut and all the people that we were there with, even though we were just extras for this small little portion of a scene hoping to see it, when you see the theatrical cut, you don't even see it. You barely see that scene on a TV monitor somewhere, I think in the Daily Planet, in one of those scenes. You barely see it. Like, it's mentioned a little bit, like a quick brief. If you blink, you're gonna miss it, kind of thing. But yet, when you watch the extended edition, you get to see the football game. Like, you get to actually watch it. I can't find myself in the crowd, but I can be like, yeah, I was there for that. And to actually see in the extended edition, the ultimate edition, I was so happy. I'm a nobody, but yet the scene for a movie that I'm supposedly in, because I can't find myself, but it's cool. Like, I got to see that. I got to actually see that on film. Zach directed me, so that's kind of cool. Even though he doesn't know that, but it's kind of cool. And they had all kinds of giveaways and stuff. I mean, that's cool. That was excitement. That was how excited I was to see this one, because I was going to be a part of it, and I literally became a part of this movie that people still talk about to this day. And I love that I'm a part of that. Maybe not to the extent I wish, but I'm still a part of it. Like, it's gonna go down in film history. So, I mean, it was a great privilege to just to be there. It was. I mean, I had so much fun on that day, and just all the fans that were there that were just speculating. What do you think Zach's gonna do? What do you think they're gonna do? I mean, we got Wonder Woman. Do you think he'll bring in Aquaman? And then this was like at the time where people had just figured out that Jason Momoa had just been cast as Aquaman, but there was so much speculation at that time. Like, how were we not supposed to get hyped? The first thing we find out after Man of Steel is Comic Con that same year. Zach comes out with Harry Lennox and has him, repeat the dialogue from The Dark Knight Returns. And after he's done reading it, the big screen behind him blows up, and it's, the logo for Batman versus Superman. How were you not supposed to get excited about that? This was kind of, in a sense, the beginning of our DCU, and then we never got it. But if it still stands a chance to happen, let's hope it happens. So, Zach, hoping for sure that someone higher than ourselves does the right thing and we get the chance to see it. That being said, though, like I said, my name is George. You can find me at Twitter at Dark. Shit, what is my Twitter? I don't even know it. I think it's Dark Knights Fan. And then, I mean, you can see it in my name right here. This stupid little thing. Let me see which one is which. This is the this is the Twitter account, and this is the YouTube account. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is the YouTube account. So, thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. I'm not trying to be on for very long. I'm on my lunch break right now, actually, at work. So I'm in my office. No one's bothering me, so I'm good. But I just wanted to make this video and just say, thank you if anybody wanted to ask me any questions, but clearly no one's here, so I don't have to answer anything. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. And release the Snyder Cut.